we are set. The default derby is set to go. Players are ready, and we can commence the 55th? 22nd. I'm looking at the wrong tab. The 22nd of the default derby tournament series. Tree going in with the classic brass, and Flesh going in with a standard Springman. Two very solid loadouts for two very solid characters capable of dealing a lot of solid damage, really good at setting up their own confirms, and do lend themselves well enough to working with the main with each character's playstyle. We'll have to see if the players able to work with those equipments and tools effectively enough to be able to take us through this bracket. Starting things off, Tree is utilizing those nades to a T, holding on to a nice hearty lead, powering through Treebird's attacks, and effectively utilizing the armor as much as he can to make sure that Flesh just does not have a chance to get any kind of tempo. Nice rush response will allow Flesh to get a little bit more breathing room. This grab could set up a nice opportunity to KO Tree, but he cannot find the time as two swift nades charge to the face. And Treebird will be starting off with the initial point. Nice patient play. Flesh Eater going to be able to set up with a health lead just for a brief moment. Could not keep that tempo going though, as Brass secures just a simple nade. And that gives him so much chance to buff up as well, allowing Tree to get momentum rolling in his favor and then keep it running. Nice charge knockdown with the toaster. He's getting all block straight now as Tree is just reading these chances. He's not going to read that double punch though, only deflects one of those hits, and the second punch just timed in well, but the explosion will take Flesh's rush away quickly, and it means that these two are holding out about even still. Tree just holding on to a slight lead, looking for some kind of neutral exchange to give him the advantage, and I think that's it. He just needs one good hit left. Flesh trying to generate some rush. If he gets a couple of strong hits with those toasters, he might be able to turn things around. But it looks pretty in the bag for Tree, and it is going to close out in that fashion. Let's see, where are we going? Sparring Ring. This is definitely a good pick. If he's sticking with the character, Springman definitely fares better in Sparring Ring than Brass, especially if he can get that initial tempo. But no, we got the Min Min. I'm curious to see how this is going to roll out. I don't think this is... I feel like Min also benefits from more space, especially since she does have that dragon to work with and that Megawatt. And yeah, this is just kind of looking like it's working out. I feel like if he just stuck with the Springman, he might have had more of a chance here, but Min Min just struggles in disadvantage, especially when she doesn't have that dragon arm, when she is in defaults. I feel like this is a misplayed pick, a misplayed choice. And it's going to bite him hard, at least for this first round, where Treebird's going to be able to secure an initial point lead. Tree just looking for one more win, and that high ground will allow him to power through that Ram. The Dragon not capable of doing anything. He gets the advantage in trade, and now, again, starting off with this tempo and just swinging through everything Flesh has to offer, as he's just got his arms just retract that much faster. Just that much more consistent alongside the deflect that Flesh really just can't keep up. Min Min is a solid default character, but she generally needs a much more long-range stage, a lot more space to be able to get her tempo set up and rolling before she starts charging in, and unfortunately Spine Ring just is not the stage for that. Truebird will be advancing 2-0, and Flesh quickly knocked into the lower brackets. Alright, looking at how things are, Frosty and Slayer are still locked into their bouts. Score 1, Frosty's advantage. Now once we get the results there, we can pull Loss in and have his bout against Mario. There it is. So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Flesh. Brass is a tough matchup to start with, and you ended up and then you just had a bit of bad luck picking the stages as well, like... He's not fun. No, I can say from personal experience, he can be fun to play against. If you're not planning right, you're gonna have a bad time. And I will let you know, Flesh. Buster Beach was at the end of the day. Granted, that one was his choice. That's a good stage for Brass. Spring can definitely contend there a little bit more, but it is still a better stage for Brass at the end of the day. And then you picked Min Min and Sparring Ring, and she, especially against a Brass, that's a dicey pick. That is a very dicey pick that you made. I feel like you saw who you were up against, got frustrated before you even started, and then let yourself lose. Like, I know that's a weird thing to say, but it's like... a lot of the worst matches or bouts that people tend to endure is because they came in already being frustrated. The nade that ruins the character in defaults and levels of fun. Nate has a lot of holes in Brass's strategy if you know how to poke and play against it. Like, I've seen Lollipops just ruin the day of Brass's. Because of, like, the fact that they have their nade charged and then you just throw, like, a Biffler or you throw a clapback. Or with Springman, you just throw out uncharged ones, use Tribal and couldn't poke though. You just have to it takes a little bit to figure out how you want to poke against Brass. And it's about learning how to play against explosives too. Nade being one of the best explosive arms, it's going to lend itself to looking significantly more broken than a lot of things out there.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Greetings. I'm glad you could make it.
I'm glad to be here. Can you put the
I put it
room
in chat
code?
for you.
Oh, there we go. So how's your day been?
It's alright. Welcome to the bracket. You all set and ready to watch some intense default bouts?
I am. I'm excited.
You take fighting Para and getting O2 when he's playing Cobra to getting O2'd by any Brass. I mean, that sounds more like you have personal beef with the character, more so any other issue. Like that, yeah, that sounds very specifically like you don't, like I don't, Brass can be an annoying matchup for Mechanica, but it's something I have to figure out regardless. Be it in customs, be it in defaults. Like, I've taken Brass's down. That he isn't fun to fight. I mean, that's an opinion that you can have.
I don't know. I find fighting a Max Brass is always a learning experience because I always run into like different types of playstyles. Like I played Max Brasses who are so easy because they don't focus on trying to buff up or get deflect. They're just focused, like what they'll do is they'll lose the mat, like basically lose, get down to 25% health, and then just put pressure, which isn't really a good strategy. But he's a good character. You just have to figure out working around his deflect and trying not to get him to buff up, because he has the most super armor in the game, which is, even though it's generally for 5 seconds.
You learn nothing but to not play Min. I mean, Flesh, you made a huge mistake by picking Min in Sparring Ring. Like, default Min needs some space to breathe and figure things out, and you picked Sparring Ring. Like, the reason why you learned nothing is not because there was nothing to learn, but because you chose to learn nothing. Like, you went in already sour, already bitter. That is... It doesn't matter if you don't find it a fun matchup, you're coming in with a horrible attitude, and it's quickly worsened your experience because of it. Like, you want to be careful about getting caught up in those kinds of feelings. Like, I used to despise Brass for a very long time. But I never got better until I figured out what I need to do. You thought you could get Dragonar Megawatt? I mean, yes, but you can't because it's Sparring Ring. Like, Brass can't buff up initially, but you can't buff up initially unless whoever makes the advantage play first gets a huge advantage. And then also, do keep in mind, a Dragonar Megawatt is great, but he still has Deflect. Heavy arms suck against Deflect. So you kind of equipped yourself in a way to... You weren't equipping yourself in a way to handle the matchup that you were approaching.
I just gotta say, I'm so glad that seeing a Helix with defaults.
I mean, defaults minus 2 arms.
You never see it, so I love it.
Oh yeah. There used to be a really good Helix back in the day that went default Guardian Ice Dragon, and he just had an impeccable playstyle.
It was Archie, right?
Archie Magoo. Like, Lost is also a pretty solid Helix. He's got a lot of cool things going on for him. He sticks to the tried and true Blorb. He loves this loadout, and he's demonstrated like some of the potential and power that these two arms are capable of bringing out, and how good they are at powering through some of those other arms, like we see as he takes Mario's Rush away.
That Blorb is actually probably really helps him out in this situation. One, it's a heavy, but two, he really gets a lot more height with it as well. So not only can it go through the arms, it can literally like jump over the boomerang and catch him in the air. Good rush.
He didn't get the second half of it, but 200 damage is still a decent amount. All he needs is one more good hit. Mario's making the best of that whiff, though, because he's looking for a chance to KO with the rush. But again, the two heavy arms.
Ooh. The Blorb, I think, went like right over the Tri-Blast and hit him.
The Tri-Bolt was aiming too low to the ground. And then there's also the fact that the Blorbs are heavy, and while Rush makes the Tri-Bolt heavier, it's still a medium weight, so the Blorb would power through. And then the Boomerang becomes a heavyweight, which means it only clashes with the Blorb. So in that position, Lost was in a really solid position to get some good damage, and he managed to get the trade in his favor. What might have looked otherwise just set for Mario. You can see he's changed his loadout to respond to that as well, putting away that Tri-Bolt. He's looking for something with a little bit more heft, a little more power, and just a lot more consistency in those rushes. And that Toaster's making some good work here too.
One thing that I think is very interesting with how DJ's playing is he's actually playing more offensively than you think he would, especially with the Blorbs being on the slower side of the arm spectrum, so you think he'd actually be playing Counterpunch. But I think actually he's able to really corner Mario here.
Yeah, the Blorbs are surprisingly consistent at it too. Having some solid retraction speed, having a really nice arc too makes it really hard to evade those grabs. Mario kind of has to rely a lot more on his deflects to try to punish or respond to them. And the way Lost moves around as well, just, yeah, it's very aggressive. It's a lot more swarmy than you usually see Helix going in. And he manages to get some solid work because of that.
Yeah, he's good at cornering, and now he's gonna pop the rush.
Oh, another whiff!
But at the end of the day, I'd rather take the 200 than him getting a nice block. So.
Nice grab going in. He's got Mario cornered out as well. Neither player has the rush ready, but that Boomerang will create some much needed space.
Then he's catching with the Boomerang. I think this would be, without Boomerang, Springman would be in a very tough situation, just because Boomerang, Mario is able to really just go around the arms, and Boomerang does so well against Helix already, and it really honestly just helps him out just because he can really get out of that corners with like one hit. So all he really needs to look for is that one hit, and he just popped a really good rush midair.
Yeah. Lost trying to stay out of the way, trying to find a moment to get his rush ready to contend Mario, but unfortunately, Mario caught on to his strategy just a little too late, or a little too soon, and he was able to catch him off guard, catch him in the air, and that rush was able to power through.
The only thing that a DJ really needs to watch out for is really just that Boomerang, because that Boomerang keeps clipping him, and then occasionally, like in the middle of his movements, like right on landing, he'll get caught with that Toaster because it's really quick.
A lot of that is just the fact that the way he moves and plays does lend himself to having a lot of windows of vulnerability where he dives in. He's got those little bits of landing leg here and there where he just doesn't really have the chance to move around nearly as much as he normally would like to. Or when he moves, he gets stuck in a position and the Boomerang kind of just so happens to swing in just as he's landing on the ground, and it just catches him, eats him up, gives Mario a lot of healthy damage too.
And it gets him out, and it gets Helix out of his face too.
But this is a place that you're not going to have nearly as easy of a time getting Helix out of your face, as Spartan Rain is a very close range, very small arena. Is usually the stage that rewards the aggressor significantly more than a defensive party play.
You'll see him throwing out the two Blorbs and just powering through the Toaster and the Boomerang. The corner, and Mario's already down 50%.
Lost not too far behind, or too far ahead himself, though. Mario just needs to find a couple of good trades and he can quickly balance things out.
And a grab, and that's gonna put, I think, actually tied in health, it looks like.
I don't think this rush kills, but he's gonna get close. Lost
That was a
now
really
looking
good
for
rush.
his chance to turn things around, but a nice swerve, some solid movement. And while those blorbs do retract a lot more quickly than some of the other heavier arms out there, still takes a little while, and in that situation, Lost just not going to be able to retract quick enough to make a defensive play, protect himself from that toaster, and secure a point.
Gonna get a nice grab. Nice grab in the air, and he's gonna close the distance. And oh, I thought he got that rush, but Mario just dodged it.
Just
and
a
hit him out
little
with it.
too close to him, and he just called out one direction and Mario went the other way. Led to an easy evade. Easy setup for Mario just to set up his tempo here. That's going to be a solid rush attempt, but with Lost being so high above, he had an easy time having that blorb just launch right over. And it looks like Mario's definitely starting to warm up to this matchup too. He's waiting things out, recognizing that Lost kind of has to make these investments in plays with those blorbs. And if he's got the deflect ready, more often than not, there's not much Lost can do.
Yeah, he's really good at using the deflect here, especially because he can't really power through as well. So he's really just kind of relying on his deflect and then counter punching with a boomerang or getting the quick toaster jab right there, which catches him as he's heading into tower mode. Which unfortunately is a downside to Helix, like because of tower mode. If you're gonna jump, Helix has a very slower jump compared to other characters. I guess the slowest in the game, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Mario just started to warm up to him too much. He got to a nice point where we saw he was trying to set up for the rush. If he could have made it connect, that would have definitely been a KO and gave him another shot at climbing forward. But, yeah, no, Mario was able to get one more well-aimed toaster, and that was the end of Lost's song. He's going to be knocked into the comeback brackets. We'll be facing off against Flesh Eater in just a bit. And we'll be heading in to have Frosty and Luna take each other on in the semifinals.
All right.
Let's just get our two players in here and ready. Frosty, definitely like a very well-known default Kid Cobra. He plays default even outside of standard bracket. He lives and dies by it. And I mean, Kid Cobra's default loadout is solid, so you can't really blame the guy for liking it.
Kid Cobra default is great.
It's got a
I
lot of
wouldn't say-
weaknesses, but when you know what you're doing, yeah.
As far as defaults go, I would not say it's the best, but I might say it's one of the best well-rounded for sure.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those ones where it's like you can see a lot of holes once you get to like top level arms and you're really keeping an eye on things. Like you can see a lot of holes into it, but it's also in a setup that works well with Kid Cobra. If Kid Cobra is able to effectively sneak by, create windows where he just has safe opportunities to throw out the Hydra, the Mander, the Coolerang, and with his Gert size, it just makes them all terrifying instruments of death.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's what's gonna be really beneficial is as long as you can get those ice chains off with Coolerang.
Yeah.
If you can get those ice chains off, and if you get a big ice chain, you can essentially just take away half health.
Oh, yes. That said, it also depends pretty heavily on what Frosty might be able to go for, depending on what Luna chooses to roll in with, and Luna's a bit more of a wild card in here. While there's some players that you can look at and you can be like, oh, they're this character, they tend to be this character. I've seen Kid Cobra, I've seen Twintel, I've seen Ribbon Girl, I've seen Dr. Coil from Luna in customs. In defaults, most of those characters still play pretty much by the same book, so Luna kind of just plays a bunch of characters that are built well for either mode, and we could probably see any of them step into the ring.
I think it's good to have the character versatility, especially in something like defaults. just because with default arms, there's a lot less you have to predict with your opponent. So if you're facing a Springman, you can prepare for that. Where let's say maybe default Ribbon Girl does better against Springman, and then this doesn't do well against that, right? So unpredictability, especially in defaults, is really beneficial. I wouldn't say it's gonna make your game win or lose, but it's definitely gonna help you out for sure.
Indeed. Why hast thou condemned thee to non-perfect scrapbook? What do you mean? What about the numbers? Do you mean... I don't... Oh, do you mean it's not a full 3-roll kind of thing? Flash, I'm confused. Also, hi Omax. Hi. It looks like, yeah, we are going to be seeing a different pick from Luna. Aside from all the characters listed before, we're actually going to be seeing a Lollipop.
Definitely. Both fairly similar loadouts, really the only difference being Coolerang Funchuck, which still Funchuck is actually a good curving arm as well. Not
it's
the
a
best.
Solid enough one. It works pretty well, especially if you pick a character like Lollipop or Mechanica who have long dashes or long curving movements. You can get some much stronger curves out of it, and it's a really excellent defensive tool to contend things like the Birch Hook, like the Hydra. It is... That arm alone is fine-tuned to counter most, if not all, of Frosty's loadouts.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of that issue already as he's getting picked and piped down. Biffler and Funchuck leading into a clean first point.
And he's gonna stick with the same Coolerang Hydra.
I feel like going in with a couple of heavier arms might be a better pick. That said, I can see what he's going for here, but we'll have to see if it really works out in that way, as Luna, again, still holding out pretty strong, making some really good trades and just keeping up an effective pressure. He's got to watch out for this rush, though, and he will not be dodging this one. 370 damage sets Frosty with a huge health lead.
Getting caught with a Biffler there. Honestly, he's really in a really good position. He just has to try and stay out of the corner and just watch that Biffler. He's getting caught with that Biffler a couple of times now. And a good Funchuck grab too.
Oh, that will not be a confirm in this case, but Luna gonna get the shield break regardless. Just all that chip going to be too much for Frosty to contain. And he is going to drop his guard. The KO will happen. And Luna quickly scooping up that first point.
Honestly, if I were DJ in that situation where I went down a game and my opponent's playing the default Lola, I would probably just swap out the Coolerang for a Slamamander just to give yourself a little more distance with that.
I kind of want to see Coolerang Slamamander or going double of either of the curve arms. I feel like that would give him a bit more of an opportunity to keep up in this, but it's Frosty, definitely. And he's surprised us before.
Or if he really wants to, he could go just go double Coolerangs.
Oh yeah. Just waiting on our final pick. We've got Buster and DNA Lab taken away. I feel like Frosty is looking for somewhere a little more spacious. Temple Grounds might be a solid pick to go back to and just give that another spin. Otherwise, I'm thinking Mausoleum might be one of his only other picks, because Luna did a nice choice of banning just longer stages. Actually, no, we still have Via and Scrapyard, so I'd actually kind of expect Scrapyard might be a solid option for Frosty.
He could, especially since Lola doesn't actually have any really good curving arms, so Cobra can take more advantage of the pillars.
Mm-hmm.
than Lola can.
We're gonna go to sparring ring. He's looking for a more aggressive approach. We'll have to see what kind of strategy he's got in mind. Because this could be a really scary place to face off against the Lollipop. She's got a nice clapback, and if you're too close to that thing, it'll just wall out all of your attacks. Biffler and Funchuck, we already saw how scary those two are. It's just a lot of really good options for Lollipop to take down a Kid Cobra, especially at mid to close range.
Although I really don't think we'll see the clapback on this map, just because there are the fact that Cobra does have the 2 curving arms, which if you run clapback at that point, you really just have to get up into his face as much as you can, so clapback can really restrict his movement.
I mean, we are in this small sparring ring as well, which means that while that is true, there's still enough of an opportunity that Luna can actually kind of suffocate Frosty and get that clapback to be working, but at the same time, he hasn't really it's clear he hasn't felt the need to throw one out because he's been taking Frosty pretty well. He's been pressuring him out really effectively. It was a nice counter from Frosty though, and I think if he finds the rush, he can get the KO to take Luna out here. He's fishing for it. He does get the setup. That won't kill this time. That's not the full burst. But he's just one hit away from taking Luna down. You can see Luna definitely shifting over to a much more defensive approach. Focused a lot more on keeping that Funchuck ready to protect himself. And that's going to land him into a nice KO as well.
With the Biffler. And Luna is actually going to swap the clapback, which we're going to see how this goes. It was actually able to stop the Coolerang there.
That was a nice start. Another big thing about the clapback too is it can be a really solid response to Frosty's rush. If Luna anticipates things right and Frosty isn't able to get if he's either not able to deflect that rush or he's just not in the right spot, that clapback will very safely wall out attacks just like that and give Luna more opportunities to just avoid chip and potentially find his own windows for attacks.
Yeah, which is actually working very well. The only thing he just has to watch out for is that Coolerang, because the clapback is constantly preventing that Biffler from safely coming out, but that Coolerang keeps reaching around, so he just has to keep in mind of that and time it right.
Rush is ready, and he's gonna get one more Biffler mark to take him out. Yeah, this I wouldn't know too much as I'm not too well immersed in the default ring, but this definitely looks like one of those really hard default matchups where Luna or Lollipop is kind of just built in a way where she's able to take down pretty much all the options that Kid Cobra has.
Yeah, like the Funchuck, for Cobra's movement as well, where like Lola's like super dash out of the shield, is so good against Cobra as well, since you're technically considered in the air, which allows you to throw the mid-air Funchuck, which can catch him as well, and then the Biffler prevents the Cobra from feeling comfortable in the air.
Alright, so it looks like they just need a few moments to get ready.
Okay.
Before we can get things ready. Like, yeah, Mario just needs a quick moment.
Yeah, no worries. I really hope, and this is a very loose hope, I really want to see double...
Sorry, what was that?
I really want to see double Guardian Helix.
That would be cool to see. I don't think we're going to be seeing that. That is not an easy loadout to play on that character, especially.
I mean, if you're gonna play double Helix, I would like you're basically kind of just gonna have to maybe do something like Sparring Ring just so you can close in your opponent.
Mm-hmm. Alright. And just waiting for Mario to get back and make himself all set up and prepared. We've got a tree in here, so we can just kind of get the names going in.
Alright.
Just get this one in. There we go. So we've seen a bit of Mario, we've seen a bit of Tree Bird art in this bracket. We've seen Tree take down a Mario before with Flesh Eater, but we'll have to see how Tree's going to be able to handle Mario's, as Mario is he's very confident in how he plays Spring Man. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to make this Spring sing enough to be able to take Tree Bird down, or if the Brass will remain champion in these bouts. I'm not sure where they're going to want to go either, but I'm guessing it's going to be somewhere it's probably going to be a little similar to what we saw before. Buster Beach might be a reasonable pick, or Temple Grounds.
Yeah. Tree plays Max Brass, right?
Yeah, Tree also has a Spring Man that he plays every now and then, more for a response to certain matchups. But generally, it's the Brass that you see.
Yeah, Brax is actually a pretty good default loadout too.
Yeah. A lot of the characters in this game have like very well-rounded, balanced loadouts. Like some of them not so much, like Mechanica, where it's just like just a little short of being there. But like if I'm looking Springman, Ribbon Girl, Ninjara, Brass, Twintel, Kid Cobra, Lollipop. So at least half the cast has like competitively viable default loadouts, and then the other half have like they can work, but they're also a lot trickier.
They're gonna be very tricky.
Alright, we're gonna have a quick exhibition match while we wait. I'm gonna dance with Tree Bird until Mario is here.
Alright.
Because, you know, Mechanica likes to play against firearms. It's fun.
Tree Bird going double roaster instead
No!
of
Bad! No jumping! Whammer says no to the jumps.
And Torture Torture and Revolver are really good against deflect characters. And his shield breaks, and Tree Bird does not get the counter rush. Now Tree Bird has his 25% boost. Yeah, the 20.
Yeah, he's got power. Dang it!
Oh, get caught. Almost had him.
Stupid loadout sucks.
Honestly, if I were to change Mechanica's default loadout, I would just change Siki for like a glove. And at that point, I think Mechanica's loadout would actually be pretty good to handle just about anything in an okay manner.
Danish, my timing is slow. I keep pressing for the deflect. Oh, okay, that's not gonna work.
We almost got the shield break though.
Yay,
Nope.
still alive! Yay, dead!
Get caught with the roaster.
Firearms are fun as Mechanica. I recommend playing against firearms. There's nothing more pleasant for a Mechanica than the old roasty toasties. We love them so much.
Freebird gonna go Springman now.
Pure joy.
At least you only have one firearm to deal with now.
I mean, he could still go double toaster. There's still 2 firearms. Very fabulous. Very fabulous!
He plays really well. Springman with the double toasters is just really solid. So with default loadouts, like, it's just hard for you to really do much. Because double toaster Springman is already just viable with customs. Those firearms.
Let's do this. These are the firearms. They're
Now you
hot.
only now you only have the one toaster to worry about.
I mean, now there's a boomerang.
Freebird is closing distance. Gets caught with the whammer. I think a few more grabs and you can take them. That's gonna do a lot. That's unfortunate. Malieve is in the corner with 2 long distance arms. This is never a good spot to be in.
You know, it'd be nice if the homie would curve in a way that works. Alright, Mario's ready.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, there's not much you can do with any character. Especially, or even as Mechanica, especially when...
Well, not
You have
even as
two.
Mechanica, especially as Mechanica.
Especially as Mechanica.
She struggles with the
especially-
same idea that Min Min does, where it's like you can oppress with your armor, but you do need a decent amount of breathing room. And at that range, like, you just throw out deflects and toasters, and unless you're planning things out right. Like, granted, it didn't help that I was just not blocking at all, because I was acting in pure terror of the idea of getting grabbed, which probably would have been better.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you got grabbed, at least it would have got you out of the corner. So we might see the 2 faces of the Arms League, Max Brass and Springman, go at it.
Springman being the up-and-coming fighter, and Max Brass being on the far end of the champion of the Arms League. I mean, technically speaking, I guess at this point now Min Min is the main character because she was the one that made it into Smash as a playable and not Springman. Springman is a side character. Nobody cares about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mario going to be going in with the tribal, with the toaster.
And Trooper going with the double nades. Just putting so much pressure on Mario. Especially when he's at super armor too.
Starting things off. Tree utilizing that armor effectively. He's keeping this pressure rolling. Mario will definitely have more of a chance when he gets that enrage, but I mean, considering there's a rush that can shield break, Mario still has 80% of Tree's health to work through and just a myriad of other things. He's not really going to be able to make things work out. Gets knocked down, and Tree is going to be able to start off with the first point.
And double nades for Springman are just really hard to deal with, especially with the explosive hitbox. So you can reduce the amount of damage being dealt to you, but the explosion hitbox can still catch you.
Generally, what you're looking for as a Springman to try to contend with this is especially he's got the right arms. Two toasters can definitely overtake those nades. He needs to be focusing more on a steady boxing pace and pattern. And that'll just force Tree into a position where he can't really keep up because those two toasters will box so much more quickly and easily. They come out faster, they retract a lot more quickly. Like, the explosions are great at countering deflects. But if Mario's not focusing on deflecting, he's kind of forcing them to play at their base character stats. Brass is a lot slower, he's a bigger target, he's going to be a lot easier to punish.
I think when they're boxing at it standardly, two toasters, two nades, the only advantage to having nades is it does counter deflect and it does more damage, but realistically toasters are, like you said, toasters are faster and they're safer too.
Yeah, and like this case, like Tree got him close, but once Mario was enraged and had just enough breathing room where he wasn't like right in Tree's face, it was just over. Like, Mario was just throwing out punches, and they were quickly overwhelming Tree.
Yeah, it's hard. Both characters are using very viable sets, and Mario just gets caught with that nade when he pops rush.
Yeah, kind of just let himself tunnel into a spot, and Tree safely dodging out of the way, and it's like, oh hey, this is a clean chance to punish you for just standing there. Takes a nice 150 damage for that, and Tree now in a pretty advantaged position, looking for a good rush. That would have been a shield breaker, but it still would have been a little bit less than the 340 that Mario ended up taking.
Treeberg getting a big health lead here. The question is will it last?
I don't think so, because Mario's got this chance now. He's got this extra damage. He's got these good boxing speeds, but he's gonna lose the rush. That was his winning card, and
he gets caught right as he hit Brass too. That is rough.
He just made a couple of Springman's so good at boxing in that situation, but Mario just made a couple too quick plays without pausing and really thinking about what was going on, what kind of traps he might be falling into, and Tree able just to pummel him down, takes the point, sets himself up with advantage. Said we do have some good stage diversity opening up now, with only Mausoleum and Scrapyard being the remaining picks. I don't think we're going to Via. Sparring would actually be an excellent pick for Mario. It looks like we're going to DNA Lab instead. This one can also work out pretty well, just because the tube's presence means that it's easy for him to make the boomerang a little bit more effective. But it does also mean that Tree's going to have a very easy time getting that Brass buff up.
Yeah. What Mario could be thinking is, Mario could be thinking that he knows he can outbox him with the toasters. He just needs a little more range, and and that the pillars can help him do that, especially because if Brass hits the nades, they're gonna be a little bit out longer for when they explode, too. So that could also be his thought process. He just needs that little more distance from Brass.
That is indeed his strategy going in. He's got double toasters. He's using the pillars to kind of force Tree back, making sure that there's still enough pressure that Tree doesn't feel comfortable buffing up, but he's still utilizing the tubes to keep enough space that he's getting some really nice choice pokes, and is starting off with a very, very good health lead. This does also put the mindset into Tree that Mario is looking for more defensive stages. If Mario leaves Sparring Ring open for the next round, that actually would be an advantage stage for him. So if he does leave it open and Tree ends up going there, that could be a nice little mind game to kind of turn the tides and give himself a chance to be able to take things through. Tree's starting to find his own ground though, with the pillars starting to wear out. His strategy doesn't hold out for too long, as those pillars do not hold very much health in this stage. Only 3 quick pokes and they're gone. Half of the pillars are gone as well, which means that it's just like quickly becoming little else to be.
Yeah, Mario and Tree both gonna pop their rush. Unfortunately, Tree, for Mario at least, Tree is gonna get that rush damage, which is gonna give him the damage lead he needs to put round 1 in the bag.
Mario tried to go for a rush bait into rush counter, which would have worked out if his grab got deflected. Unfortunately for him, he actually missed Tree Bird, so he had to wait for the full retraction, and it just left him completely vulnerable as Tree just started throwing out punches, and it became a very, very safe exchange for him.
Now Mario switched to Boomerang, which allows him to space out Brass a little more with the charged Boomerang pushing him back. And he's able to play a little better with the pillars, now that he can hide behind it from Brass and throw his punches, or at least the Boomerang, without getting hit and having to put himself in the line of Brass.
That said, we've only got this one tube left. It is very clearly at last health, and Tree's just gonna punch it down in that situation. He knows that it's far more dangerous to keep it up. Mario finds a chance for the rush. Not gonna set him to enrage yet, which means he's gonna be able to get one more good trade in. Like, he can't take any more damage from Tree. If he does, this will be a nice advancement for Tree to be able to make it to winter finals. Sees a nice chance for the rush. Mario 2 caught in his pattern, and he's gonna dash right into that rush. Tree Bird will be advancing to face off against Luna, taking Mario down 2-0.
Well played.
Very well played.
Well played. I think if Mario had gone Boomerang that first round, where he was able to sort of use the pillars a little more because there were more of the pillars to use, I think he could have potentially taken the first round for sure, which could have given the momentum he needed going into game 2.
Yeah. The other thing too is just the fact that, like, while it did give Mario better space to box, and he did have a great opening, but like once Tree had a moment to breathe and get his buff up, Mario he was back in a corner and he just didn't have the options he wanted or needed.
Yeah. It's tough when you're in a corner against Brass. It's tough when you're in a corner against any character that fights close, especially Brass, because if he is buffed up, you can hit him, but his super arm is going to tank it.
Mm-hmm. I think they've started already. Yeah, they've started. Alright, so then with that, we're gonna be waiting on the winter finals match. It looks like Tree's got our lobby stuck, so we're gonna have to create a new one.
Alright.
make this lobby nice and fast. A different code this time. I don't know. I just mashed the buttons. Here you go. And Mario and Slayer can get them to hop into this ring, and we can have our next bout going.
Alright, I see the new code.
Where did the fun check go? Alright, and we can just get these two in. We're going to be heading into the comeback brackets here. I believe this is the quarterfinals. Mario and Slayer are fighting to stay alive in the brackets. To potentially face off against either Frosty or Flesh to make it to the comeback finals.
Alright. It'll be really fun to watch these matches. There hasn't been a match that's like, oh, it's boring to watch. Like, they're all good. They're all really intense.
I mean, there are. I mean, I guess it depends on the individual, but for me, there's very rarely those kind of matchups. Most of the bouts, most of the fights that can happen in this game are pretty interesting, pretty exciting in one way or another.
Yeah.
But I'm also the person who enjoys Twin Tail Mirror matches, so...
I enjoy any mirror match. Whether that be Springman vs. Springman, Brass vs. Brass, just because you really get to see all the different play styles that everyone can play.
I don't like the Mechanica Mirror match, but that's because I like explodey, punchy arms, and I don't like the fiery ones, so I don't use them.
Oh.
Which is unfortunate. Because that means that I just struggle. I'm a heavy character that struggles against other heavies because I just don't equip myself to play against them.
That's a rip.
You just punch them down anyways. Sometimes it works.
I honestly don't have that much experience fighting too many heavies. The only heavy I've really fought is a Master Mummy. None of my friends play any heavy characters. They only play. I have one friend who plays Master Mummy.
I mean, Master Mummy's one of those characters where I'd probably say he's kind of like Ganondorf, where it's like there's going to be a handful of people who are really dedicated to that character, but otherwise he can be pretty rare to see going about.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's get things set up. We've got Mario versus Slayer. Probably going to be Springman versus Ribbon Girl, knowing these two players. Though I could see Mario switching over to Masango so he could utilize that Glusher in the matchup.
Interesting. I'm excited to see Ribbon Girl. I hope we see Sparky Ribbon Girl. Just because Sparky, like, I know there are other options, but it is still a pretty good armor. And if Mario does go Masango, Sparky can be an advantage for with the red mask when he gets the super armor, because Sparky is one of those arms that if it's charged, when it hits, no matter who it is, it gets the full damage and it does stun.
Well, it doesn't do the full damage.
Doesn't?
No.
Oh, right.
Shotgun and Freeze arms, if they hit an armored unit, it still reacts on half damage because of that armor, but then you still get the shock or the freeze, and then from there the armor isn't active.
No. Well, even if you get the stun, you don't even need to use it for like grab confirms.
I mean, no, you still get the grab confirm, but it's like you get the shock, and if you grab, it would, instead of like the 250 that you normally get out of a Sparky grab combo with Ribbon Girl, it would be 200.
Yeah. Sparky with his grab confirms, it depends on your distance. Like if you're close, then you're basically guaranteed. But I used to do Sparky Slap-a-Man Springman, and I literally just use Sparky just so I can reposition myself in the map. So I get the stun, and then I reposition myself, and then I hit him with the Slap-a-Man.
Yeah. Looking at this match right now, Slayer is going to be going in with the Popper Slap-a-Mander, a really solid anti-boxer loadout, especially with Ribbon Girl's momentum and ability to just dance around attacks. You can jump into the air, you can find these really good windows to swing in these arms that are usually pretty easy to overpower, and it can lead into some really good damage from there. That sent Mario keeping up with a good tempo with some really good damage from the tribal, from that toaster. He's holding on to a light lead and quickly generating another rush, looking for his chance to swing it out and to take Slayer down and claim that first point.
Both characters now got to be careful because they both have their rush. I do think Slayer has to be a little more careful just because if he does get hit with that rush, it can potentially, or not potentially, it will kill him. But I think Mario will hold it on just for the next round.
Out comes this rush. The deflect going to protect Mario. He's going to be able to keep that shield up nice and strong. And that first round will be going to him. In that first point.
We're going into round 2. It looks Ribbon Girl is gonna change Popper for Sparky. Probably it might one of the reasons be just so it can go through Tri-Blast.
Oh yeah.
And gonna get the stun and with the Sparky grab there.
It's a good quarter of Mario's health just quickly taken away. That said, Mario has his own opportunities to go in for grabs as well, go in for pressure plays. He's going to be pretty delayed on each of those responses though and give Slayer more than enough time to get that shield up. And a safe block on that rush will allow Slayer to start getting some more tempo swinging their way.
Yeah, they're pretty even in health right now too. I actually thought on Mario's rush that he was going to catch Ribbon Girl because I thought Ribbon Girl was about to jump into the rush because Mario had jumped just to take that movement away from Ribbon Girl. That being said, Mario is being careful of that Sparky, knowing that it can just do so much damage if he hits and then gets the grab. At this health, I think it would kill. At least now with the Slap-a-Mander, it will kill. Mario's 1 health away, and he's gonna pop his rush.
But he's gonna get slapped down!
Ribbon Girl says no.
Let's start off this round with rush advantage as well. That Sparky complements to those 2 arms, just allowing Slayer to have a little bit of an easier time punching down Mario's attacks. A lot more breathing room and going in for this chase and just keeping up a much better tempo. The rush is also a lot more prominent here, where it can overpower Mario in this case, just because it's another glove and that Slap-a-Mander has some good curve to it.
Definitely, yeah. If he can predict his movements, then Mario's gonna have a very tough time with the Slap-a-Mander. And especially since Slap-a-Mander has a wide, pretty big hitbox as well, like compared to the other arms like Chakram. So
it's really good at catching side-to-side movements. It's still not too hard to dodge if you're playing appropriately, if you're responding to things in the correct fashion, but it's still more than enough for a lot of people just to get them knocked down, especially if they lean a little too much into a boxing stance and they're just shifting left and right a lot. They'll just walk into it several times.
Yeah. See, Ribbon Girl, Mario seems to be slowly cornering Ribbon Girl right now.
Nice catch there. Slayer not ready with the timing, will not be able to evade this time. And because of that, Mario will be claiming the first point and setting up with match advantage.
Well played to both of them too. That match was, it was very close too.
Indeed. When we're coming in for an aggressive stage, Viadosha will be our next stage of choice.
It's actually well, no, I could see Ribbon Girl going to be adults.
I can see the idea. I think it's going to work out more in Mario's favor, though. I think this is one of those cases where it's just a stage matchup choice that can very possibly lead into the wrong direction. Where you go there thinking it's a good stage, but it turns out it's a little bit rougher.
I honestly depends because this stage is more narrow than most stages, which does mean that Mario is gonna have a little less room to dodge that Slapamander than he will before. So
that also said, it makes it a lot easier for him to connect with the tribal, as we've seen him get a couple of good trades, a couple of solid hits, and it's a lot easier to corner Slayer as well to get these confirmed, like this 240 damage rush. Yeah, this round is this stage looks like it's at the very least, if this isn't a better stage for Springman, it's a better stage for Mario. He's a lot more comfortable here than what Slayer is able to go in with right now. Like, even cornered, backed up against this wall, he's still getting better trades than a lot of what Slayer is finding, because he's just got slightly heavier girth, and his deflect still just lends itself a little bit more efficient in taking these points.
Slayer, very careful.
Not careful enough.
Not careful. Yeah, that I was about to say. One hit from Toaster Triblast uncharged. And now Slayer is gonna switch to the Popper, which I think is better just because it gives him a little quicker on the jab. And Mario was closing in, which Slapamander and any curve arms don't really do that good in close range anyways.
I mean, Popper, if you're not making the right plays when you throw out the Popper at close range, it also really can struggle there.
Yeah, it can for sure, but I do think it was one of those things where Slayer was like, even if Popper isn't great, it is less punishable than Slapamander.
I'd actually go as far as to say the opposite, because as you're seeing here, Mario's just focusing on really just a steady chain of uncharged punches. If Slayer sees the right windows, they can make a couple of nice plays like that. But if they're caught up in Mario's pressure, he pretty much consistently has more attacks coming through, and he's going to be able to secure more damage because he's got those 3 shots from the Tri-Bolt, with the Toaster just retracting much more quickly. So he's just kind of overwhelming Slayer right here. And while this stage, again, it's not helping Slayer, it's limiting his movement, and it's going to land him right into it. That could have been a KO, but Mario throwing out the Tri-Bolt instead. Slayer still has his chance. We're looking for one final hit. And it's going to be the Tri-Bolt coming in.
He's going to get caught, yeah. It's unfortunate. I think if he got the full rush off on Mario, I think that would have brought him down to maybe like a couple of hits. But when you're on the Magic Pixel and your opponent still has like a quarter and a bit of health, it's very hard to come back from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was just another one of those classic cases of wrong stage for the wrong time. Where Mario was just a lot more confident. He was able to handle the matchup a lot more efficiently there. And Slayer ended up getting slain. With that, we can head into our next bout. We are We are all set and ready. Luna Gabs versus Treebird. One of these two will be settling in the Grand Finals position. With the advantage, the other will be having to duke it out in the comeback finals bracket.
We'll see. I wonder if Luna is gonna stick with Lola Pop, or if Luna is gonna switch it up just to mix up Treebird.
My suspicion, I could see Luna just changing it up, but that's also a good matchup for Lollipop. Brass really struggles against that clapback. While his armor does lend him to having a little bit more control, Lollipop's actually safe enough with the Funchuck and Biffler in a lot of cases, and is able to poke well enough that Brass can't really utilize his armor too effectively, and he'll just get chipped down, lose the armor, Lollipop gets a punish, and then it's all about just holding out on the rush until Brass is weak enough that you can kill with that before they can utilize their Enrage effectively. Like, there aren't... I don't actually... Like, Lollipop's default loadout is very underrated by a lot of the competitive scene. Like, I believe it was a Smash and Splash, like, a little while ago. The top players of, like, the overall bracket, most of them were Lollipops.
Yeah, Lollipop is a very solid character. You can shield midair, you have the super dash out of shield, you can kind of put pressure on your opponent and close in distance, and Luna is actually going to go Twin Tail here.
Another solid pick. Twin Tail's actually... I'd say this is another one of those cases where Twin Tail is advantaged in the grand scheme between these two characters. That said, there is still a chance for Sprayman to be able to break things. I'd probably be 55-45 or 60-40 in Twin Tail's favor. It's pretty even overall, but Actrosaur just lends itself to be a bit more efficient, a little more proactive, and helps in keeping things going, especially since those Ice Chains and Thunderbird just make confirms really easy when you just get the right read or play setup with Actrosaur slowing things down. That said, Tree is starting off pretty strong. He is keeping this pressure rolling and has managed to get a couple of good tribal confirms and is running with a light health lead off of that. A swift rush though, 285 does set Luna at a light health lead. We get the freeze. Another chain of punches and Treebird is now at critical.
He does have those charged arm though, which means that Luna is going to have to watch out. As he can do something like Tri-Blast and then pop his rush if he feels the need to do so, or he's just going to pop it right in front of Luna and get the KO with 330 damage.
Picks the right finishing touch, and if he did not, there's a good chance Luna could have turned that around. But getting that full chart toaster hit on that last exchange just helped him out more than enough. T-Bird going to be put away, and we're going to go full in on the Ice Chains. And this is not a good place for Tree to be, especially with that tribal. He had to make the perfect plays there, because otherwise that tribal just really does not do much.
Luna did get a nice early rush, which is going to give her essentially a half health lead over Treebird. That being said, Treebird is doing very well at deflecting Luna's punches.
He just got himself another Ice Chain rolling. He's looking to try to take Tree down, and he gets the chain. That is some really good rush generation, and a huge burst of damage coming through. Doesn't even have to worry about Sprainman's Enrage, as that freeze just keeps him nice and cool.
Yeah, Luna was just able to get a really good Ice Chain, and it's very hard to stop an Ice Chain. At that point, you kind of just have to either predict a grab or predict a punch and shield.
Tree nicely reading that grab attempt. He's going to be able to get a 290 damage punish, and now the game is to keep Luna away. He does not want to get Ice Chain. He does not want to get set up in disadvantage, because Luna with Chillas is going to be a scary thing for him to contend with. Excellent setup with that Deflecto will be able to get him alive and winning still. We do get that knockdown. Tree making a nice call, keeping himself in the air just to make sure that the ice chain isn't going to be nearly as effective. Luna finds another hit though. We do have the Enrage, but a good read on that shield is going to set Tree to the Magic Pixel.
Although Luna does have to be careful. Unfortunately, Tree pops his rush. It doesn't connect.
Oh, but Luna's going to
toaster.
slide right into that attack. The slowdown just not going to be enough for him to be able to anticipate that play. He gets knocked down, and Treebird going to be starting off with the first point. A really nice catch and a great start for Treebird as well, setting himself up with a light lead and giving him a little bit more control on how the rest of this match might go.
I wouldn't be surprised now if Luna does swap back to Lollipop, just because it helped her so much against Mario. But it's also one of those things where she's gonna have to think of how she wants to deal with it, because the clapback can do.
Yeah, the clapback can be really scary against Springman. Really capable of just like powering through a lot of Springman's attacks against Brass as well. I could also see Luna just picking other characters, like as I said before, we've got a Ribbon Girl, we've got the Kid Cobra line around there, the Twin Tail, the Lollipop now, like, he's even got a Dr. Coil. Like, Luna has a strong plethora of characters available at his repertoire, and he could go Spring or Brass as well if he wanted.
I don't think we would see the Coil, because though Coil default loadout doesn't have, isn't too good.
I don't know what
Maybe
you're talking about. You put on double Parabola on Coil, and you just throw out punches and you win. It's crazy. I've tried it. Like, a very aggressive Coil with Parabolas is, like, really scary and very painful.
Maybe I haven't. Maybe, but I do also think that it wouldn't be good in this situation. I think
Probably
Treebird
would be.
would be able to deflect it or hit it with a toaster.
I've seen it work though. I mean, most of me seeing it work has been through speedrunning, but I've seen it work. Nice catch for Tree. He is going to be able to start off this round with the health lead again. Just getting some good trades. Playing off against that ice chain, but Luna had a rush. He's going to be able to utilize it. It's 300 damage, which is a heavy amount for two Chillas. Treebird's turn, readying up. He is coming in for the chase. He's looking for his chance to throw out this rush, and he's going to be able to connect. 245 isn't going to be nearly as much, but considering the health lead, he's holding up 250 against Luna and only needs a few more hits to take him down.
They're both playing really well. They just got to work on. Both players are just need to try and outbox each other, and they both have the tools to do so.
160 damage. We're on the last hit. Oh, he goes for a blind grab response. Luna not able to respond in time. We get the freeze. Is Luna gonna try to bait something out? He does, but Tree is just gonna wait on shield. He sees his chance for rush, and will be able to take Luna down. Another point in his pocket.
Both are playing very well so far. They were both one punch away. Although Luna, he does have rush, the rush advantage going into this, which can be potential trouble for Treebird.
Indeed. Oh, tries to bait for a rush combo, but that is going to be such a swift and clean punch in that Luna was just not ready for the response.
Treebird is in the corner right now.
Ooh, he's gonna get disarmed. 40 damage off of that break is not gonna be enough, but Luna is in a very confident position. Might want to try to generate some rush going in. He has to go for the KO. Treebird just not letting up on his face.
They're both sticking with their double gloves now.
This is the classic meta of the default arms meta. This is the classic of it. Twintelle with Chillas, Springman with Toasters. You wouldn't have it any other way if you were a player back in the day. Just going all out with the gloves. Twintelle trying to sort her way through. And Springman just trying to pummel his way down. Nice place from Treebird, gonna be able to break out. Tries to go for the grab attempt, forces Luna to have to utilize that rush.
Good rush on Luna's part, and she's really good at, he is really good at getting his ice chains. It's giving Treebird a lot of trouble for sure, but he's hanging in there.
Starts getting a little bit of tempo. His rush can potentially KO if he got one more trade, but he's going to do a full trade with Luna, and that's going to allow him to take Tree down. 1 apiece is now the score.
2-tango.
One more game to decide who's the winner of this set.
No, this is best of 5. We're in winter finals right now. These two will be competing to see who can settle in on that grand final seat. Best of 5 it is for the final matches. I believe whoever moves down to the comeback finals bracket will be also doing another best of 5 against either Frosty or Mario.
Okay.
Alright, we are all set. Temple Grounds will be our next pick. And it looks like Tree's gonna try out the brass, fearing that Luna has figured out that Springman. So we're gonna see how this big beefy man can handle this matchup. Double nade brass is definitely a good option against Twintelle.
For sure, and the nades give him a little more curving ability than the Chillas do as well. And a little more damage output. The only thing is that Chillas are faster, and obviously the ice chains, which is something he is going to have to watch out for.
Indeed. If he can just find a chance to buff up, this could be a very strong opportunity for him. But it's going to be Luna, and it looks like Luna's also just kind of figured out what Tree's doing to try to contend. Just recognizing that Tree's waiting a few moments and throwing out a bunch of double punches, so Luna's just starting to respond by throwing out punches beforehand and just extending that ice chain as Treebird is panicking out his attacks.
Treebird able to get his buff and keep up the pressure.
For one chance. This rush could KO if he got one more hit in, but alas for him, it's even going to get taken down by a nade explosion, just not in a position where he can find that chance. He's got to be careful because Treebird's rush can easily set him back in advantage, and even KO after that trade.
Treebird has his permacharge now, so Luna is going to have to watch out.
We've got the freeze. We've got a chip hit on that. Luna's got the rush ready, and he's going to be able to KO as Treebird eats one too many hits to the armor, and eventually he collapses, unable to keep things going.
They both have rush going in the first round, so no one has advantage. Luna is going to get a good ice Chilla grab, and then get a nice rush and tree in the air.
Another freeze. I think Luna isn't trying to bait anything out. Just sees that rush is there. More than happy to respect it. Oh, but that one is going to work out a lot better for him. He safely dashes out of the way. That's a clean shield. Only taking some chip hits, and this is This is a mirror on the head, and Luna is going to be able to keep it that way as he lands the killing blow and sets himself up with a reversed advantage 2-1.
Masterpiece.
Looking for one more win to make it to Grand Finals. Treebird now has to do a 2-0 sweep in order to claim that win.
I do think we are going to see Treebird swap back to the Springman for sure, just because Max Brass wasn't much he could do to the ice chains.
Yeah, I feel like... Yeah, I feel like it would be good for him to go back to Springman.
Springman gives him a little more speed all around too. He still gets the permacharge. He just doesn't get the super armor. That's really the only downside.
But that super armor is also just a big target for more ice chains.
Yeah. Which I also do think Springman's little extra speed is gonna make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Just waiting for Tree's final pick or potentially final pick. We've got Scrap and Buster banned. DNA Lab's still open on the table for him to, if he wants to stick with Brass. Otherwise, Via's actually open. He left Via open in this one. Scrap, before he banned Sparring and Via, this time he's banned Scrap and Buster. Treebird could take us to Via Dolce. That's a good stage for Brass. He gets a free buff up to start things off with tempo advantage. And if he manages to secure that advantage in tempo, like, he won against Hanukkah just a little bit yesterday, because Hanukkah took him here. Maybe he'll be able to make that swing work out in this case too. And that looks like his plan, as we're going to be heading in to the narrow hallway of pain.
Luna is gonna swap to the Thunderbird.
Tree couldn't get the buff up in time. Immediately not starting off with that advantage, he does find a chance just shortly thereafter. Now he can get this chase going. Luna is now backed up against the corner. The Thunderbird will find a way out though. And Luna's starting to surround with a lot more space and is quickly turning the tides. Now Treebird backed into a corner. I'm guessing this is what Hanukkah was thinking was going to happen back during the low kick bracket.
I will say that Thunderbird is going to be the saving grace for getting Luna out of the corner for sure.
Yeah, it does some good stuff. We've got an enraged Treebird though. We've got Luna backed up against a wall. It is his turn to start swinging, and he takes away 300 health with 2 clean shots, one after the other. He's just looking to try to set Luna up in a position for an easy punish, and he's going to be able to get the KO because of it. I'm pretty sure this is going to end in Tree's favor. This stage just is so well designed for Brass in this matchup. Just, Actrosaur is still good, but the fact that Brass gets to buff up here and then start chasing you with a big heavy armor, it's scary. It's very scary. And then you kind of just are forced to have to contend and compete against it, which in a lot of cases doesn't work out as well as you'd like.
Yeah. Luna is was doing a pretty good job at keeping Max Brass at bay.
And he's going to be in a position where he can kind of do that again. He's going for some nice disarms. Weakens that shield. He gets the freeze. Going to try to bait out this rush. And he's going to be successful. And at that space, more than enough room that gives him the ground to be able to try to set up a comeback. He's got that rush, and Treebird currently lacking. But again, he's just not prepared for all of these explosions, and it is constantly blasting him down. He's lost so many advantage opportunities because of these nades.
Luna can only take a few more hits now.
Nice
Getting a
grab.
grab. Brax is gonna get his perma buff now. So Luna is gonna have to play very carefully.
Yeah, I think Luna's going for rush generation right here. He's trying to go in for a few hits. He's looking for an opening like this. And he's going to be able to take that. Just in that one brief moment, he sees the chance. He gets to rush that exact moment. He's like, the nade is still out. I have to press the rush button. And he did. He is going to be going into this one with a much more significant disadvantage, especially with Tree having this rush ready. But that grab is going to make a nice freeze. Allows Luna to start this a lot more evened out. He's a lot more aware of what he's looking for to try to take Tree out as well. And we do have this knockdown coming out. Balances out that health difference. Got rush coming in soon for Luna, but hopefully sooner than later because we've got an advantage. Brass just looking to get free hits with those nades. Oh, Luna catching him off.
Nice grab. Another grab.
Chance he's gonna take it. Tree will still be alive, but he can't take a grab, and that freeze is gonna make him really vulnerable to anything else happening.
Luna just flipped the Uno reversed card and cornered Treebird.
Managing to utilize this stage to his strength. That was definitely what Hanako was looking for yesterday. But unfortunately for him, he didn't get it. Luna did. Which means that Luna will be advancing to Grand Finals in this default derby bracket. And with that, we can actually dive into our next bout right here. Tree will be dancing with Frosty in the comeback finals. Frosty able to take Mario in a surprising 2-1 result. Finding himself in a very confident, very happy position too, most likely.
Yeah, well played. Well played on both ends.
We'll have to see if he's able to make this comeback work for him once again, because he's going to be facing off against a very fearsome foe. Frosty avenged me. Yay! Frosty did a full avenge run for loss. Just looking at the bracket here, so Mario took Loss down 2-0, and then Lost to Flesh Eater 2-1, and then Frosty next takes Flesh Eater down 2-1, and then he takes Mario down 2-1. So yeah, we've got a bit, the brothers helping each other out. Alright, and it looks like we're going to be going to sparring for the first dance between these two.
I think it's a good pick that can benefit both.
Depends on what Tree has going in. Yeah, it depends heavily on who he's picking going into this, because if he goes in with Springman, I feel like this stage will be more advantage to him, but if he goes in with Brass, I feel like it's slightly disadvantaged for him. Just with the way Kid Cobra works and the consistent aggressive pressure, it looks like Tree is going to be going in with the Springman for just those reasons. Treebird going in, toast to her Boomerang. Looking to avenge Mario now by bringing out the default Spring of Man.
Good dodging by Tree. Valkyrie is doing a very good job at cornering right now.
Yeah, he's getting this chase going. He's utilizing Springman's solid movement and the win setups from that Boomerang. He is completely surprising Frosty right now and just fiercely pummels him down.
Yeah, he did a really good job of just staying in his face. Just chasing corner to corner to corner.
Forcing Frosty into a really rough position where he just didn't have the chase chance. Oh, it looks like something's going on.
Might be...
Oh, buttons aren't working. Oh, that's not good. I think Tree's looking for a fight and he's just kind of confused as to why Frosty's doing this. I'm just trying to get...
You know,
okay, there we go. There we go.
Yes.
There we go. Alright, so we're just gonna start. That never happened. We made it up. It's false. Stop moving like 10 seconds into the first round. Oh, I see. So we're just waiting for him to come back in. There we go. Let's give this another shot. Let's try this again. Cursed bracket runs, interrupting other plans and ideas. Alright, let's give this another shot. Treebird coming back in with the Sprayman, sticking to that springy boy. Frosty coming in with the Kid Cobra. We'll see, he does successfully jump. His jump button works this time around, which is good news. It means we might be able to see a little more exciting of a matchup.
DJ getting caught by that toaster.
He's recovering his options really effectively, but a nice wake-up grab will force him back. Gives Frosty just a little bit more breathing space. A whiffed Hydra will cause him to take some heavy damage though. And now the Treebird just looking for a good KO chance. He's gonna get it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Out comes this quick rush. Frosty not ready. Just kind of stopped and was trying to set up a punish play, but that's going to just allow Tree to get a solid amount of damage. Sets up a nice opportunity. Frosty with the rush will only get chip damage on his end. But even then, a solid disarm and a lot of pressure from then on is definitely lending himself well as he gets a couple of good plays. A quick deflect though will ruin his timing and gives Treebird a lot more room to start getting that counter pressure play going.
Treebird is doing a very good job right now. They're both doing a very good job. Cobra is doing a very good job even when he's pressured in the corner as well. Which is good to see.
Oh, nice catch! The Coolerin will be able to slide in. Treebird trying to maybe bait out a rush opportunity for himself, but that Hydra and Coolerin just came out so quickly. Does mean he's going to come into this one with rush advantage, which, considering the matchup, is a really good opportunity just to secure a healthy lead, and he's going to be able to get 285 advantage.
We're gonna catch him with a good Coolerang. Cobra getting caught in the corner now.
Locked down. Tree trying to just close things out, keep this chase going. He gets another charged toaster. Frosty losing out on ground space fast, and a good grab will allow
Yes.
Treebird to start off with the first point.
Bring 'em. Yes. Springman.
Good round one for Tree here.
Indeed. Yeah, that Sparring Ring just worked out really well for him. Allowed his Springman to pressure and chase down about as well as I was kind of suspecting. Maybe a little bit better. Probably a lot better. I was expecting it to work well, but that was a lot better than I was anticipating. Frosty managed to get a few good plays of his own, but unfortunately just was not enough. And Treebird starting off with tempo advantage because of that. I'm guessing we're going to be looking for a little bit more open-ended of a stage.
Definitely. I could see Frosty potentially going even somewhere maybe like DNA Lab even, or even via Dulce. Actually, I wouldn't even be surprised because he's better well equipped to play on those maps than Springman and Brass.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna head to Buster Beach.
Indeed. This is going to be... I feel like this can work a bit more for Frosty. It's definitely more balanced than Sparring Ring was. But there's still enough cornering, pressuring that can happen here that I think this is another stage that will lend itself a bit better for Tree. It's going to allow him to get a couple of better plays, more effective pokes, and some more results coming through. But a nice opening from Frosty will allow him to keep Tree pushed at bay, and that center platform makes it just a little bit harder for Treebird to be able to close in the distance.
Treebird closing in. They're Cobra doing a good job at keeping him a little bit at range. He does have to try and keep Treebird away. Because Springman is better equipped in the corner and close range, with the Coolerang not being that great of an arm at close range, but he's still able to make good use of it.
Oh, nice catch for Treebird. That's gonna give him some time to recover those damaged arms, but he's so close. He was not ready for that. Frosty just more than ready to throw out that rush in that exchange just to secure that point. Sets Treebird up on the back heel in this stage. Gives Frosty a little bit more breathing space, a little more room to try to get a point for himself. Nice coverage with that Boomerang, lifting up and covering the entire Hydra shot. Prevents Frosty from properly punishing, and it's giving Treebird a lot better of a chance to keep this chase going, keep this solid damage running in his favor. Both players definitely looking for some good charged hits with their firearms. Both Hydra and Toaster, whenever either of those connect and are charged, you notice that red smoldering effect that kind of falls off the opponent. That's taking away their rush. It prevents them from generating rush for a briefest of moments, which just makes it a lot easier for you to be able to be in a position where you can just utilize your rush to pressure them down.
Tree now closing in on Cobra until he got the arm break. Cobra gonna pop rush, do a lot of damage.
Oh, and the Toaster will find its mark. Treebird going to be able to hold on to this rush as well. Score is now 1 apiece. If Tree can turn this around, and he's got the rush to do it, he'll have a 2-0 lead against Frosty, meaning that he's looking for the sweep, and Frosty would need a reverse sweep of his own to bring things back. Here's the freeze. Frosty looking to try to get a chain going. He does get that Hydra to knock Tree down. He's managing to secure a light lead here. He's got a little bit more control. This movement is working out here. He's getting some good reads. He's seen a few better moments. He needs to get this rush though just to really cement that lead. And with Tree just anxiously throwing out that punch with the Boomerang, Frosty now holds a 50% health lead and deepens it by grabbing him right out of the corner, launching him across the field, and Tree now at Magic Pixel. He's got to take 75% of Frosty's health if he wants to be able to take this point. I don't think Frosty's going to let him do that. Alright, and with that, Frosty is going to be able to set himself up, claims that first point. Or claims himself his first point. He's going to be able to keep this score going and keep this bracket running just a pinch longer. Seeing if he can take a shot at bringing things over to take on Luna in the grand finals. It looks like we will be heading back to Sparring Ring. I like the 2 stages that Frosty banned. I see what he's looking to try to prevent, but it also means that he's leaving himself open to other plays coming in from Treebird Springman. And that's exactly what we're seeing coming back in. Diving right back into this bout, we do still see that Boomerang sitting on Treebird's side. It's been lending itself to be really effective at giving him some nice confirms, keeping Frosty back up against a corner. I would actually go as far as to say I feel like the Toaster might be a better pick, but he's definitely been able to use it really effectively, and it's protected him in some really rough rush moments to give himself the ground he needs to be able to get these KOs. That Boomerang on Frosty's end is delivering some pain of its own though, has led into a couple of ice chains, has managed to catch Tree out a couple of times unguarded. Looking for another rush chance. Tree was kind of anticipating it there. Frosty, anticipating that anticipation, chooses not to throw out the rush just yet. We do have a weakened Tree and a nice rush coming in, 275 as he baits out the punch, slides right out of the way. And I feel like Tree's starting to lose himself a little bit here, feeling a lot more pressure. in this moment as Frosty is starting to gain ground, gain traction, and quickly starting to turn these bouts on their head. Out comes the rush. Hydra will not be a solid option here, and 250 damage gives Tree the health lead as he tries to keep this tempo rolling. Frosty continuing on with this chase though is just burning away at that health meter, building up another rush just to set himself up with another excellent chase. We do see one of the toasters finally connect, another one slowing down that rush generation. Those two alone should be enough to allow Tree to keep up with the rush trades. A freeze will give Frosty his chance, can't find it though. Tree just trying to close things out here. He just needs 2 more well-aimed toasters. What? There's one of them. Another one is all he needs. It doesn't even have to be charged at this point. But now he is in He's in a position where if Frosty sees a rush chance, he finds a grab to go on top of that. It could take Tree out, but couldn't see that opportunity that was before him. And another well-aimed toaster will be able to balance out this score. Both of them fighting now to see who is going to be getting that 2-point advantage. Frosty definitely a lot warmer in this matchup this time around. He thinks he sees the chance, but Toaster sees its opportunity to power through his rush. Great opening for Tree will allow him to start off with the point lead. And that's going to be some good tempo as well that Frosty is going to struggle to keep up against. Looking for his chance to be able to just turn things around. But Treebird is quickly generating another rush, just throwing out punch after punch. We do finally see a freeze. Trying to go for a follow-up. Frosty just not going for any grabs in those situations though, and it's allowing that shield to do its job fabulously. Frosty turning things around. He actually has the health lead off of those quick initial plays, and he's gonna power through with 370 damage. Another 20 hit. Treebird is looking to turn this around. He's looking for his rush chance. He thinks he sees it. The Hydra whipping. He gets his arms to recover. He only needs 2 good trades to be able to take Frosty out. Frosty has to find one final hit. You see him looking for it, and he's going to be able to secure it with the Hydra. Frosty now holding a 2-1 advantage. Where did Treebird go? Frosty just blew Tree up. He blew the tree up. The tree is dead. Where did the tree go?
This mic's working, right?
Yes, I hear you. Hello.
Hello, okay.
Oh, welcome back. We are sitting on a very exciting moment as Frosty is 2-1 advantage against Treebird. He managed to make sparring ring work out well enough in his favor, but he was able to secure a KO.
Alright.
Same banned, so Via and DNA Lab are banned again. And what probably looked like one of the better stages for Tree, no longer the case. I could still see Tree wanting to go back there, give it another spin, and have it work out more in his favor. But I can also see him wanting to try somewhere else after those results. Might need a moment just to collect himself as well, because that was a hardy loss right there. That was a rough one, just with how Frosty was able to whip his way through. And completely surprised him.
I'm excited to see this. I wonder if this is going to go to match 5.
Alright, looks like we're going to be going to Mausoleum this time around.
We're gonna switch to Brass. As he goes his double nades again.
If he gets advantage, if he finds himself some nice tempo, I could definitely see this working out, but this is also, I feel like Kid Cobra fares a little bit better against Max Brass than he does Freeman. That also said, I might be talking about customs and not defaults, where double nade and brass armor just allows him to mow through Kid Cobra's plays and schemes. And yeah, it's looking like it right now. Frosty just not prepared for these explosions as he's getting just nuked down from above. Quickly knocked into 30% health, even further below now, as Tree is just looking for one solid hit. He's gonna go for the Russian. That's gonna be the point.
If I were Frosty right now, what I would want to break the center platform as soon as I can. Because at that point, he's going to have to go on the trampoline to cross, which Frosty can just stay the opposite side of the circle.
I mean,
because if he goes in trampoline,
Tree
then
wasn't
it's going to leave himself open.
Tree wasn't really the one approaching during those ones. He's wanting that space because it's giving him the time to buff up. You're noticing that it's actually Frosty more often than not who's on that center platform. Like, Tree's already playing around. Like, he's role-playing that center platform isn't even there. He's staying on his half of this arena. He's looking for chances to buff up. And he's just trying to hold that as much as he can. It's Frosty who's really making the aggressive plays, going in for those chases. Like, even there, that was a brilliant place to go for a chase. Tree's not even going onto that platform. He is just waiting on the far end. He's going to be able to take the point quickly, turning this to a 2-2 score. This is still anyone's game.
And with that, we are going to a game 5.
We've got our bands done and chosen. Now the question is, where are we going? There's a lot of places that Frosty can take us, but there's a lot of places that, now that Tree switched over to Brass, like, he's got good, he's made good choices on where he doesn't want to be taken. Both Temple and Sparring could be really scary places for a Brass. Sparring Ring especially, and I mean, he lost his with Springman there too, so it's a safe bet to take that as your ban and just get rid of that from here on. Frosty's got to pick somewhere else to go.
I don't know where Frosty's going to go. There are a lot of stages that can benefit Cobra that will give him the advantage against Max. The only thing is, he also has to take in consideration, is he going to go the Brass or the Springman?
Tree would have to announce any changes that he'd be making in that regard. So he can rest easy expecting the Brass to come in. But, like, there's a lot of good places for Kid Cobra to try to keep this up. But it's also a case of, like, if Brass has a chance to buff up and start going in for that chase, that's really where Frosty was struggling, was Brass in advantage. So he's got to be able to make sure that it stays neutral or Brass is in disadvantage.
And immediately Tree is going to take the high ground. Just start putting pressure on Frosty.
Just looking to burn through that meter as quickly as possible. Treebird's also trying to destroy these pillars as fast as he can. Just does not want to deal with those things blocking and obstructing his view. And within 30 seconds, those pillars are already gone. Granted, it does give Frosty that little bit of breathing space to start this round off with advantage. You know he's going to want to do his best to hold on to that control as he quickly burns through Tree's health. I think he's looking for a potential KO at this point to make sure that he can cancel away this Enrage. He's getting a couple of nice chip hits though, burning through that shield.
He's doing a very good job. If it's one more hit and Tree is down. They both have Rush going into the second round. Gonna switch things out. One of his nades for a roaster.
As great as those nades were, I think after what we just saw, that is a good call. Because Frosty literally just burned through that entire health meter just off of nade chip damage.
Yeah. And it also does get him, it does give Tree a little more quicker response to Cobra, things like Cobra who dashes with quickly with arms are charged.
That said, we're going into this round again. Frosty holding on to a solid lead. It's not that solid enough though, as Tree quickly turning things around. If he gets this rush to the stick, and all he needs is one hit on top. There is a now KO potential for him to take Frosty out. I'm suspecting he wants to hold on to this rush to keep advantage going though.
You can see Frosty is well aware of this. He is trying not to get caught in the corner.
That hand is forced, the KO comes out, and this is the final bout between these two. Frosty will be heading into this one with rush advantage. Roaster definitely helped out immeasurably though. We'll have to see how it holds up going forwards.
And Tree just making sure he can get those buff ups, that way he can keep the pressure going and try and corner this Cobra.
Get the freeze, go for the grab. He doesn't go for the grab. He has yet to grab Tree out of any of those freezes yet.
Frosty does now have Rush, but Tree is gonna want to watch out for that.
Tree's about to have a rush of his own though, which would allow him to overpower. But a nice catch out in this brief moment, gets 315 damage, allows Frosty to set up with the lead. Tree has his rush ready and he's looking to try to set it up to assert some tempo dominance. That's going to be a clean moment. That's going to be 285 damage. Neither player with rush now, but Tree holding onto a huge brass buffed up armor beam.
That roaster that speed of that roaster making all the difference. They're able to keep Cobra on his toes and follow up after the nade.
There's the freeze. He gets another Hydra shot. That's slowing down that rush generation. Frosty just needs a little bit more time to get his rush ready. But neither player can take any more damage. Both building up their rush. Perfect deflect, but the nade will blow him down. Out comes this rush, and Treebird is going to be able to take him out just barely by.
Tree advances to grand finals. Well played to both. Very good games.
Indeed, that was very exciting. Yeah, that means we can set things up with Luna stepping in on the advantage side, looking to take this default bracket yet again. Treebird looking to be the one to claim this throne. He's been improving a lot lately. Took a tournament not too long ago, and since then he's kind of just been running through a lot of brackets, making it pretty far, and then just losing out short by a couple of players.
It's gonna be a really good couple matches to watch.
I mean, we saw some pretty exciting things just a bit before in winter finals with these two dancing. We'll have to see if we're going to see a similar tune going into this one. So let's see what we get for our stage bands. Where are we going? Both players likely a lot more familiar with each other at this point, which means we might be seeing the Brass step in, we might be seeing the Sprainman step in from Tree to try to contend against Luna after seeing how well Luna was responding to that Brass. But it looks like Luna's actually changing things up significantly. We've got a Springman on the board.
Springtron.
Or Springtron on the board. And Treebird will be sticking with the Brass.
Which can be very beneficial as long as he can get his EMP going. It's going to be one of those things where he's going to have to wait for the right moment, but if he gets it, it can make all the difference.
As long as he's keeping good neutral trays as well, it's looking like this is still working out. And he's doing just a lot of what Frosty was doing moments before, where he was able to just get so many safe pokes and prods on those nades, just chewing away at Tree's health meter, punishing the fact that those things are explosive and just blow up when charged.
And Luna can counter rush that grab to a chunk of damage. He has that from above.
And he's going to be running with it as he quickly tries to burn through Luna's health meter. Especially now that Luna doesn't have two charged arms, he doesn't really have too many great options to be able to damage Tree. That's a rough hill to climb, but that nade landing right at his feet on the Magic Pixel will be able to take Tree down. Tri-Bolt put away, Boomerang slipped on. Those win confirms can... Oh, that is a little awkward! Probably a lot more closer than Comfort than Luna was anticipating there. As Tree just swings right into his face. That wind effect was not very effective.
Tree trying to play around these pillars, but now they're all gone, and Luna is gonna pop rush. Doing nice.
Oh, we get the disarm. That can be another EMP. No, Luna's just gonna keep these punches swinging instead. He will lose the EMP in just a few moments as a result. But a couple of nice tricks still come through, and he only needs one more hit. This is definitely a surprise to Tree, and it's caught him pretty well off guard. As Luna is just looking for that one final hit, and with Rush ready, there's not much comfort space for Tree in this situation. And not any life left either, as Luna starts with the first points. And it looks like, yeah, Luna's just playing the switching game. We're going over to Ninjara next. We've got our stage bands as well. Two good picks. I think Spartan Ring could actually work, again, could work well against Brass. But it's one of those cases too where it's like, if Brass gets advantage you in sparring, it's really bad. But if you can keep neutral and stay in advantage, you're generally going to be holding up well.
Yeah, definitely. You said Luna is swapping to Ninjara?
Yes.
Interesting. which could work to his favor. That way, Tree can't figure out. Oh, he does. He's doing this with his Springtron. Now I have to do this to counter him, right? At least when he picks, if he's gonna pick a new character, it can keep Tree on his toes.
Indeed. Oh. I'm deleting that. You don't get that. You don't get that one. Alright, heading into this bout. Luna going in. Ninjara, Triblast, Chakra to start. I was talking about before how Ninjara is pretty well rounded, and we'll probably see a lot of that here. He can kind of struggle against heavy characters, but otherwise he's just a really strong default character, just with a lot of great options, a lot of powerful tools, and a very, very vicious rush, using some of the best tiered weapons in this game.
And he catches Tree with that Chakram. With a very nice job.
Mm-hmm.
Tree is now switching to Boomerang.
Looking to try to cancel out a little bit of that more horizontal movement that Luna is throwing out. But Luna's still just... A lot of what he's doing is just really solid dodges, really evasive play, making him a real pain for Tree to be able to catch. A nice rush will be able to give Tree a little bit more space. That Triblast is still doing a beast of a job of poking.
Playing very close right now. Tree hits him with that Boomerang. And Luna, he pops Rush and gets a good chunk of damage off on Tree. They're both about even now.
Tree now setting up lead. He got that charged toaster. He's got the rush just about ready too. He just needs to keep things up just for a little bit longer. Might feel the need to throw out that rush. These trampoline plays are leaving him nice and open as he doesn't have that shield. He will be able to lift Luna up with the Boomerang, but he can't get anything else to follow through. And because of that, Luna will be walking away with a 2-0 lead.
Very well played. I think the Ninjara swap was beneficial because it did allow Tree that he couldn't just figure it out over a few rounds as you do. For sure, and I think that played a part. I don't...
Mm-hmm. Oh. Alright. And we are now in a position. Luna is looking for one more win to be able to close out the brackets. His character change is keeping Tree not ready in any way, and it's just surprised him a couple of hard times.
Tree be able to bring it back and pull a bracket reset.
Looks like Scrapyard is going to be the next pick. Luna switching over to Bite and Bark this time around. I feel like this is more in Springman's advantage, but Bite and Bark can be a little annoying, and there's a lot of interesting tricks at play here that can allow Luna to get the advantage, the upper hand.
I mean, Bite and Bark does have a deflect. It's just kind of hard to use. But when Bite does jump on Bark, he does get a serious height advantage.
Yeah, it makes him a real pest to hit. And I mean, he's also got these really safe arms in the Cracker and Bub. Just, you thought Toaster Tribal is safe to poke with? Like, Cracker Bub is even safer. And then you get a Doggo to punch with you as well, so you're just getting, like, you're getting coil amounts of value with these exchanges and punches. Nice.
Luna gonna pop Rush. One can only take one more hit before next hit and 3 is down around.
And now we're advancing to match points.
Match and championship point. And Luna able to work around and counter.
Takes away a pretty important rush from Treebird. He's got his rush still sitting, waiting, and ready. He's trying to set it up, and that grab attempt is going to be safely deflected. 295 damage will allow Luna to just build up that lead again. And this round just really in Luna's favor. It's just so deep in his control. This is a tough hill that Tree would even have to climb back if he wants a shot at even bringing the reverse sweep. Rush attempt coming through. He does get a knockdown, but Bark is continuing to be a little pest, a little bugger as he gets another quick tap in, weakening Treebird's health meter. He is looking for one more hit, one more inch punch, but it's gonna be Luna finding his final punch first. And that closes out this bracket. Luna now 3-0 against Treebird and this Default Derby's champion.
You too, Treebird. You put up one heck of a fight.
That does close out this Default Derby. Thank you all so much for watching. Congrats to Luna for taking this bracket. Congrats to Tree for claiming second. And congrats to Frosty for an excellent climb through the ladder and just making it all the way to third place. And of course, thank you. Oh, he left. There you are. I was gonna say thank you, Nature Guy, for co-commentating with me. If people thought you were cool, thought they might be interested in seeing more of your stuff, whatever you do, is there anywhere they could find you?
As of right now, I do not do any other platforms other than this. I do plan on starting up a YouTube channel and potentially streaming. I just need to get better equipment for that, so fortunately, not as of yet.
Yeah. And with that, we are done here. I'm gonna hop out of voice chat. I'll talk to you later, Nature. Ciao!
Yep. Good night.